Welcome into a special Sunday edition of the Weather Wednesday podcast here at New England Storm Center. You know, when I'm doing an episode of Weather Wednesday on a Sunday, you know a big storm is on its way, and we have a pretty powerful nor'easter on the way right now. It's looking like the central pressure is going to drop to the 970 to 980 millibar range. So, pretty potent nor'easter. It looks like it's going to undergo some bombogenesis as it comes into New England. The forecast track it's starting to come into focus now, with the track likely being somewhere between just offshore of Cape Cod to the benchmark. It will very likely fall somewhere in there. So for this episode of the Weather Wednesday podcast here on a Sunday, I just wanted to go over some of my thoughts on what I think is going to happen, break down some things that I think some things that are likely going to happen. So the storm is going to come in Monday afternoon and ramp up Monday evening. It looks like there is going to be a lot of mixing and rain going on for a lot of southern and eastern New England on Monday night. It will be snowing further north and into western Massachusetts, the Berkshires, the Litchfield Hills, up into the Green Mountains. It will be snowing. It will be a mix of rain and snow elsewhere, with plain rain across much of eastern Massachusetts and coastal New England. Much of Maine will not quite get into the precipitation quite yet. But as we get to Tuesday morning, cooler air is going to wrap into the storm, and that is going to allow the mix and the rain to just collapse out throughout the day Tuesday, from north to south and then to right to the coast. It's going to go by Tuesday afternoon. It is going to be mainly snow across most of New England. There will be still some mixing across coastal areas of southern New England on Tuesday afternoon, but by Tuesday night everyone's going to be snowing, and the storm will wrap up on Wednesday. It is a long duration storm, so those areas that are going to be snow from beginning to end are going to get hammered. Uh, so we'll just jump into the snowfall map that I have right now. So it looks like foot plus is looking likely for much of New England's higher elevations, minus the Maine mountains, and the northern Green Mountains won't get as much, but they will likely be 12 inches plus in the White Mountains, the Monadnocks, the southern Green Mountains, the Berkshires, the Worcester Hills, the Litchfield Hills, and there could be isolated spots. I did put isolated 18 plus on the southern Greens, Berkshires, and Litchfield Hills. The National Weather Service map actually has some areas up to 30 inches. Now, and my amounts are a little bit lower just because there are several items that will be working against very high snowfall amounts. And those factors are, it's mid-March, so you have the strong sun angle. Temperatures are marginal. It's going to be low to mid-30s, so it's going to be very difficult for the snow to stick. It's going to be a very heavy, wet snow that compresses, so it's very difficult to get that kind of snow to pile up really high. And on top of all of that, you do have some areas of eastern New England along the coast are going to get a lot of rain before it goes to snow, which is going to wetten up the ground. The ground is not frozen. There's no cold air ahead of the storm. All of this is going to be working against piling up the snow, but there is going to be heavy, intense snowfall rates. There will likely be bands 2, 3, even 4 inches of snow an hour at times. So that is why we're getting these amounts as high as we are, 12 plus, maybe even 18 inches of snow. But as far as 24 inches, 30 inches, I don't think anywhere is going to get quite that high. It will, of course, depend on how long those very intense snowfall rates can last for, but at this point, I think 12 to 18 is probably your high-end range at this point. So another interesting thing about the snowfall map is that amounts have been trending higher across eastern Massachusetts and into southeastern New Hampshire. For a while, it looked like maybe 1 to 3, 4 inches. Now it's looking like we could see 5, 6, 7 inches across southeastern New Hampshire. There are even some signals putting it up to 10 inches. There are some areas saying 5 to 8 inches for Boston potentially. Again, I don't have the amounts quite that high. Again, just with everything working against piling the snow up is why my amounts are a little lower. I will have an updated map this evening on New England Storm Center. I'll post it on Twitter, on Facebook. It'll be on the website, newenglandstormcenter.com. So I will have a new map this evening. I wouldn't be surprised. Uh, I'm very torn between potentially putting the amounts higher than where they are across eastern Mass and southeastern New Hampshire versus leaving them where they are, just because there's going to be intense snowfall, but there are a lot working. There's a lot of things working for a lot of snow, a lot of things working against it. So I'm torn on it, but this is what I'm thinking. I feel pretty good about this map that I have out that I'm showing you right now. So again, we'll have an updated one in the evening, but I'm feeling pretty good about this one. So this storm, I think, is going to cause it could cause some big power problems across New England, especially into southern New England. And I'll put up my power outage potential map, is what I like to call it. I've been sticking to, there's probably going to be two pockets of potentially widespread outages. The first being eastern Massachusetts, especially along the South Shore and Cape Cod, and really all of coastal Massachusetts and as well as coastal New Hampshire. There's currently a high wind watch out for the Massachusetts coastline for damaging winds. So there could be widespread outages in that area, mainly because of the winds. The snowfall amounts will be lower there. But then I do have another area. I put them down as most likely. These are the areas where I think the greatest chance of widespread outages will be. I have another one over the jackpot areas for snowfall. And this is going to be a very wet, very heavy snow. And when you're getting, 8, 12, 14, even up to 18 inches of this heavy, wet snow, that's going to weigh down the branches. Branches are going to break. And when you have branches breaking, you have power lines that can come down with them. I do have a lot of New England in the possible range. Uh, as you saw, the snowfall amounts combined with there will be gusty winds across New England. So those two combined, I did make a rather broad possible area. Widespread outages in the yellow areas are not as likely, but there will likely be pockets of smaller outages in those areas. I haven't seen a whole lot of outlets talking about big power outage problems. I think there could be some pretty decent power problems for New England from this storm, though. So I did want to bring that up. Another issue with the storm will be there will be minor coastal flooding likely. Fortunately, the storm is not going to hit during astronomical high tides, or there would be some big problems along the coast. Again, that will not be the case. Minor coastal flooding is expected. Tides 2 to 3 feet above normal are possible along the Massachusetts coast and along the New Hampshire and even Maine coastline. Not quite as much, but again, some splash over and minor coastal flooding will be possible. And again, just another breakdown on the timing. It comes in Monday afternoon. It ramps up Monday night through about Tuesday midday will be probably the bulk of the precipitation. And then it will continue through Tuesday afternoon, through Tuesday evening, through Tuesday night. By Tuesday night, just about everyone will be seeing snow and snow piling up in areas. The South Shore and Cape Cod likely will not see too much by way of snow accumulation, but they will probably see flakes flying by Tuesday night. And even by Wednesday morning into Wednesday afternoon, the storm is going to there's a high pressure that's kind of blocking this storm in. That's going to really slow it down. It's going to take a long time for the storm to exit. But by Wednesday afternoon, we will be finally pulling things away. And by Wednesday night, we will be drying out across most of the region. Maine could still be seeing some snow showers. And then by Thursday, high pressure builds in. The storm will be gone. And we're going to have some cleanup to do. A lot of us will be doing a lot of cleanup. And I forgot to mention when I was going over these snowfall amounts that as you get into northern New Hampshire, northern Vermont, and northern Maine, you are getting further away from the center. So you likely will not be getting into the heavier snowfall amounts, which is why the amounts are lower there. You can see northern Maine probably only looking at a couple inches from this storm. That is pretty much what we are looking at. Rainfall, flooding from rain is not going to be much of an issue. There's not going to be that much rain. There could be a half an inch to an inch of rain, and it will be a windswept rain for those that are going to see it on Monday night. So the rain won't be too much of a problem. So that is what we are looking at. I'm just seeing if I have any final thoughts here on this storm. The National Weather Service of Gray, I'll bring this up, that they brought up that this storm has similar characteristics to the blizzard of 2013 and 2015, which were monster storms. Blizzard of 2013 brought 40 inches to parts of Connecticut, 2015 down to 36 inches. Again, that is not going to happen from this storm. Those storms had a lot of Arctic air in place. There were a light, fluffy snow that could pile up a lot. There's no Arctic air ahead of this storm, none whatsoever. And, but this storm's not going to be a blizzard either. So, but I thought that was kind of interesting that the National Weather Service of Gray did bring those storms up, those monster blizzards up. All right, so that is going to do it for this very special Sunday edition of the Weather Wednesday podcast here at New England Storm Center. So you're going to hear from me on Wednesday at the tail end of the nor'easter. We'll break down everything that happened during that episode. So thank you for listening to this one. Thank you for watching this one. And keep it at newenglandstormcenter.com for everything weather in New England, including this powerhouse nor'easter.